From Uncle DJ's Worldwide Whiskers, this is the Beard Channel news update for Tuesday, March 17th, 2015. Today's commentary: net neutrality, net nonsense, and net security. For some time now, the fight has been on to save the Internet. Saving has meant different things to different users. Free and open, unfettered exchange for all to the ability providers and business partners have in controlling and coercing data, to those same users, to nanny state, police state, sex trade, slave trade battlefronts. More often, the creators of the net universe lean on their credo, published way back in the early 1990s, to keep the channels open for free and unfettered ideas and dialogue, believing that someday these ideals would be in peril. They are, to a degree, and to yet another way of thinking, they are not. I've been in communications in the United States and around the world online 38 years. My early days in broadcasting have morphed from a largely two-sided universe of us versus them, and in that time many rules were changing so that media facilities would be pressed by law to allow minority presence and content. That was a milestone I helped along as a humble disc jockey as well, breaking down racial barriers that prevented black artists from being heard back-to-back in music sets. We in our day broke down long-held bias in the music trade, which also broke free other biases in everyday living. It is a milestone I am proud to have been a part of, and one where a heavy price was personally paid to make secure a place for minorities when my own talents and abilities were often preferred. Lost a lot of money, time, and fame over it, but don't regret one moment. Today's landscape has amped the us versus them motif to alarming proportions. It is an ugly divide, very dangerous, much worse than the so-called turbulent 60s and 70s. Ever-increasing sophistication is employed now. We have less privacy now. We are finding less confidence in those who lead things now. What we are also witnessing is groundswell from the populace larger than those hippie days. The us and them are clearer now, with companies and citizens aligning by virtue or by profit. Are they both embedded with pure motives and demands for their own way? Absolutely. Will they ever learn to get along? From my early days' perspective, that question is looking very grim. I have been an avid follower and defender of the Federal Communications Commission and its regard to broadcast in the public interest, convenience, and necessity, the foundations of the Communications Act of 1934 that has been the fairest, most honest approach to keep media grounded. That law has been watered down, strengthened, ignored, and imposed quite a bit since the late 1970s. Good standards mean good practices, and because all sides have somehow forgotten their roots, standards are in tatters. Government and business are at fault equally. However, we, the consumer and the provider of information and entertainment, also bear this guilt. This battle is now centered in the halls of the United States Congress, a scary place these days. They do have power to help fix or add measures to make worse what we cherish. And we've learned so much in recent years how government can ignore the will of vast numbers of its citizens. What can't be ignored is people power. There is no Internet without people to use it, support it, helping direct it. If there is no Internet, government and business take stinging blows and lose out on their influence and their power. This was proven time and again the past few years when whole segments of Internet content providers blackened their screens to get a powerful message across. It was also proven emphatically in the revolution known as net neutrality being secured to an agency for proper dispensation of equal time and equal access. There are plenty of reasons to measure trust. The power brokers are in a love-hate relationship equally as we are with them. We don't know where outcomes will lead. We can only hypothesize, and that is getting us nowhere now. We need to stay connected to all sides and press those with the on-off switches that we expect and only support the will of the people to be free, unhindered users and providers of the Internet as the creators of such intended. Here is the big nut cracked. Gang, this biggest cries out there are people playing on your fears. Whether it's the left saying big business is going to wreck it all and keep you constrained, or the right insists tying the hands of businesses that run the networks at the core will never grow to oppressive restrictions and forced balance of access means death to the system. It's all an ugly ruse. The Internet would be nothing without its devotees, independent creators, and users. Us. It is the best invention of many lifetimes, and its penetration has done only what the Bible has managed to do in human history, affect every shore and practically every place. If we are marginalized in any way, that part of the system dies. Also gone will be the revenue and influence the stakeholders, government and business, have proportionally. Besides, history has taught us constraint always leads to innovation, and there are vast resources of brain and willpower very capable of reinvention or revolutionizing to better what we know today. It is the best interest of all of us, no matter what side, to get together and ensure free and open exchange continues with the proper and gently managed protocols in place to keep the Internet safe, secure, and communicating. If we all fail at this, the Internet will suffer the most fatal blow, but something else will rise in its place. It always does. Cut the crap, wipe the rhetoric, let's work together as people with a mutual interest instead of megalomaniacs or robber barons. Whoever your they happens to be, they're hearing you even if they don't want to. Up your game, be respectful, and make your point with the future of the entire Internet in mind, not just your own interest. One planet deserves a free, open Internet continuing on its course to redefine understanding and exchange between its many citizens.